Namaste, friends. Another Sunday, 8 p.m., and we are back with Gyan Ganga Words of Wisdom on our Virat Hindustan Sangam social media channels. As you know, we are on various platforms and across the globe, 121 countries watch this program on every Sunday at 8 p.m. We have a very interesting topic today, uh, myths and realities of India's foreign policy 2014 2023. That is the period for the last 9 years. What is the realities and the myths of the foreign policy? We will be in the next half an hour discussing this with Dr. Subramanian Swamy. I have to thank my co-host Ramesh Swamy and Professor Arvind Chaturvedi for being with us on this show. And I also have to thank our technical team led by Ashish Shetty, Tejas Navalgul, Ishwar Iyer, Swaminathan, Gadgi Rakesh, Vishal Mehta, and Ajesh Nair for their support in putting this program together. Today's episode is 194th episode of Words of Wisdom Gyan Ganga. Thank you, and it is over to Dr. Subramanian Swamy.
Thank you, Jagdish. I'll try to be as brief as possible. It's a huge topic, actually, and but I have condensed it. Any policy has four dimensions that you have to discuss. One is, what is the objective of the policy? The second is, what are the priorities that you see in attaining those objectives? And third is, what is the strategy you're going to follow to achieve those objectives? And finally, how are you going to finance the required amount of resources that are required to implement this policy? Now, I have searched and searched and searched, and I found that there is no paper document in the government of Modi or in any of the foreign ministries or defense ministries which take these four things and then say 1, 2, 3, 4 and explain it. So I am piecing together, and although we have to keep in mind that cricket is going on and CSK is the favorite of a lot of people, so I won't take all the time that I need to do it, and maybe we can come back when some incident happens in the international arena for India. But first of all, I would say, after searching, I found something that has not been published at all, and that is the objectives of Mr. Modi's foreign policy. This was, finalized in after 1 year after his becoming the chief minister, prime minister. And I can read out all these, but I'll do it. I think point by point of these objectives. First is the prioritizing to integrate the neighborhood first. So Modi has made neighborhood first in the policy document, which is incomplete, but the objective is neighborhood first. So we'll have to discuss very soon in our today in our Gyan Ganga whether that has been achieved or addressed, or or we have seriously taken it up. The second thing that I find, which is there, this by the way is surprisingly not published anywhere. There was I think a copy, because the son of the foreign minister, he wrote an article, and then I don't know where they got it from, but he was of course in Brookings Institution in Washington, and maybe he gave it in a seminar. But then the Wire, so to speak, magazine picked it up and published it. So I got it sort of authenticated that way. And so second was, Modi used the word act east. We shall act east. That is, he said, we have been looking too much on the western countries. Now we look at the eastern countries. This was the second objective that he said. And we have to now examine whether that has been found in our foreign policy as executed by the government. Then there was a question of leveraging international friendships or partnerships. That is to promote development in the country, economic development in the country. So Modi's in the 5 points, this third point was that he will interact with countries in order to get economic benefit for the country. No strategic and so on and so forth. Now that's possible. Some countries have managed to do it. The Chinese have done it very successfully in the last century. That is the 20th century. Whether they can continue it now, I don't know. But the fact is, that time the atmosphere was very good, and they were able to do it. So the leveraging is the leveraging of international partnership for economic development. Then the fourth one was persuading and dissuading Pakistan from supporting terrorists and terrorism in the borders. So this is the fourth objective, that Modi will dissuade them, persuade them. Maybe he'll suddenly fly in and have lunch with the Prime Minister of Pakistan and then go to the wedding afterwards. So I don't know what it included, but this is one of the objectives. Whether Pakistan is persuadable, whether Pakistan can be coerced or dissuaded, by deterrence. So these are something that we have to discuss. I'm afraid for that we need another session of that. And finally, which is stated in the objectives, is a Vishwa Guru for advancing the representation and leadership matters globally. That is, when we talk in globally, we'll talk in spiritual terms, we'll talk about what we can. I think it was not clear, but Vishwa Guru is not of an individual. It's not Mr. Modi's will be a Vishwa Guru, but a Vishwa Guru concept is a macro concept, and that is India would be a Vishwa Guru. That is, what we will say the world will accept, and so on. Of course, it's not happening. So now let me come to some of these things directly and tell you what it is. When you go take neighborhood first, has it been neighborhood first at all? Let us see how many neighbors are now with India compared to the past. And I've been, directly involved in these matters because I have been friends with the Nepalis, their prime ministers, many of their members of parliament. I know the Bhutanese king very well. When I was law minister and commerce minister, he had come here, and I took him around, or I met him especially in the Rashtrapati Bhavan and had a talk with him. So same thing with Bangladesh. Most of them were students in Harvard, and then they went on to become in the government. So I had exchanges that way. Sri Lanka, of course, I don't even have to say it. Everybody knows that I have been very intimately connected with Sri Lanka. Maldives also very well connected. Not so much now, but when there was a coup, Rajiv Gandhi was prime minister. He asked me what should be done. I told him send the planes with troops and throw them out. And they were actually LTT people who had come and taken over the Maldive island. So I have the neighborhood. I have been deeply involved. I've also considered Iran as a neighbor. It's very close, and they have a certain connections with them. So have we good relations with Nepal? Answer, no. Are we have good relations with Bhutan? No more. In fact, they've come and told us we'll take care of Chinese ourselves. We don't need your help. as bluntly as that. Of course, our media is great. In the larger national interest, they didn't publish it. Then are we in very good terms or neighborly terms with Bangladesh? No, but the lady there as Prime Minister, she's a very sophisticated lady. So, I mean, she doesn't allow the rhetoric to get out of hand. But the Hindus are not safe there. They get killed. Their land is taken away. And generally speaking, Bangladesh is just, doesn't want us to get annoyed, but they are otherwise not friendly. And then Sri Lanka, of course, it was our fault. Our Mr. Dowal and Mr. Jaishankar, they made a complete mess of the relationship by strutting around there, throwing their weight around, and the Rajapakshas and all, they didn't like it. And naturally, they wouldn't like it. But then many of us who got into the act, we were able to steer it. And fortunately, the Prime Minister also went along and started giving vast amounts of support to Sri Lanka. So Sri Lanka is okay. I mean, they'll stay with us when the chips are down, but they have not given up their connections with China. They need not, as long as they don't side with China on when there's a conflict between India and China. So finally, Maldives was very close to us and now slowly drifted into China. So, and Iran, the shock of the life for everybody is that Iran and Saudi Arabia. Iran is Shia and Saudi Arabia is Sunni. Both of them can't get along with each other for a long time, but they were both brought to Beijing, and Xi Jinping presided over the meeting, and they came to a pact, the three-way pact, which in my opinion, I don't know why the media is not playing it up. It's a major strategic change against us. So I would say neighborhood, total failure. Because where is the success that we can? Is there any country which is like to give? Even further on, you see Qatar. We thought they were great friends, and our national security advisor had intimate friendship. This, that, all that nonsense was being spread. But today, 6 or 7 army personnel are going to be executed, Indian personnel, who had earlier gone and trained the Qatar army, and then perhaps in their next assignment they went to Israel, and so Qatar has taken a deal. It says no, you shouldn't have sent them to Israel. Now they would have exchanged secrets of our country with Israel and so on. Therefore, the next round when these people came for helping the Qatar army, they put them in jail, and the process. India is doing nothing. Like in the Nupul Sharma's case, they said she's a borderline member or something insulting about her. So to write her off completely. So therefore, we are now seeing neighborhood right across. So this is another aspect. Now, bringing Pakistan around to a more, a peaceful attitude towards that has so far failed. So I don't have to tell you, everybody knows that. But in the future, are we going to fail? Or are we going to succeed? If you have, what is your program? What is your thing? These things should be debated. They should be put in the parliament. They should be put in universities. They should be brought in seminars. But none of that. Everything is secret. Whether a person is a man or a woman, even that is a secret now for officials in the ministry. So the kind of secrecy that's there, nobody knows really what's like. This five objectives, has it been put out anywhere? It's not been put out. So I would say that look at Pakistan. It's got just worse and worse. Today, Pakistan is a friend of the United States. Pakistan is a friend of China. Pakistan is a friend of Taliban. and all that is, the Americans are going to be neutralized when it comes to dealing with Pakistan, with what the Americans will do. So and the Chinese are very, very strongly entrenched in Pakistan, and we have we are not able to do anything. The Chinese are on parts of in POK, Pakistan occupied Kashmir, as it's called, the part which they have not yet returned back to India. So Pakistan also is being just completely turned against us, and we are in no position to use any leverage to do it. And of course, as we talked about Vishwa Guru, these are all slogans, and people laugh abroad. People all laugh when we say you will be a Vishwa Guru. So I won't get in that much. I will before I hand it all over to you. Let me say that if you look at these objectives, Modi's foreign policy has been a disaster. I won't even call it a failure. It's been a disaster. In what way do we have a say? I want to know. Just by coming here and having cocktail parties and all, that's not do. Or he run in a like in the G20, run straight to Xi Jinping and shook hands, and he say, "Oh, what master stroke," and all this kind of rubbish. You see, we have not got an inch. The Chinese have occupied more than 2,000 square kilometers of Indian territory after 2020. It's not what they occupied in Aksai Chain. It's not what they occupied earlier in Arunachal. No, no. All that has happened after 18 one-to-one meetings of Modi and Xi Jinping. And Xi Jinping has circulated amongst the intellectuals in China. What in 18 meetings? What was discussed? We have not been. We have not even. Not allowed. I have tried to get a copy of what is. We were not allowed. 18 one-to-one meeting with nobody there present. Both spoken English. So therefore, I think China is our enemy because they have occupied our territory, but you haven't taken a stand. And a unarmed country which is formally to be a good boy for the world gave up nuclear weapons which they had. They had nuclear reactors. That is Ukraine. And Russians bullies walk across and start shooting using their army. Russians are supposed to be veto holders in the Security Council. Of course, I think that is illegal because that seat was meant for Soviet Union. There's no Soviet Union today, and Russia is not the inheritor of Soviet Union. If Russia is the inheritor of Soviet Union, then so is Ukraine, or so is all these states near a border near Afghanistan, Kazakhstan, and etc. etc. So I would say that where have we stood? And we say, no, we were able to evacuate all our students, which by going into Ukraine, no, you waited on the borders of Ukraine. And that fellow who was there, who is now the urban development minister, he was standing there waiting for Indians to cross so they can put them in a plane which was waiting and bring them back. That's all. Not everybody could come. We should have gone in and said, declare ceasefire, tell the Russians, no, you can't shoot while we are there because we are supposed to be your friend. Nothing of that happened. So tell me, where is it that one place where I can claim that we have had diplomatic success in these last, it's going to be 15 years very soon. Right now we are running the 14th year. We have not. So I would say that the foreign policy of this country has been a complete disaster and has been to the disadvantage of India. Thank you very much. Over to you, Jagdish.
Dr. Swamy, I have a question
Yeah.
concerning this foreign policy. What about this Quad and BRICS? How do you see it balancing the two?
What?
God and BRICS.
Balancing is like in Panchatantra, they used to have a bat which went and told the animals, "You see, I am like a rat. I've got my ears. I got a body which resembles the rat. So I'm member of your clan." And then went to the birds and said, "See, I got wings. I fly. So I'm a member of yours." And when a war took place, the bat went to sleep. And after the war, there was a ceasefire. These two, the birds and the bats and the animals, they discussed, where is this bat gone? So he said, why? And so he said, yeah, they were supposed to be with us. So the other side said they were supposed to be with us. So they went hunting for the bat, and that's why the bat cannot come during daylight. It has to stay in daylight, in darkness, and only in the night they come. So we have been like a bat. How can you be part of BRICS? How can you be part of a Quad at the same time? They are two different objectives. They are contradictory objectives. And we should have taken a clear line. We should have told China, you have now broken the agreement you made with Narasimha Rao. Now we have no alternative but to join with the United States, get whatever weaponry we can get from the United States, and then we will evict you from our land. That's what we should have said, but we didn't. And we are saying, we are in fact not even, we are saying, koi aaya nahi, koi gaya nahi. I mean, nothing has been so disastrous a statement from a prime minister as to say, when Chinese have occupied 2,000 square kilometers of your territory forcibly, killed so many of your soldiers, and you say, koi aaya nahi. Even today, does anybody say China is an aggressor? Nobody says that. Oh, we have had talks. We have had what talks? Talks about that they will not go any further, not that they will vacate. So I would say to you, Jagdish, that tell me that all these things, what is the use of being a member of the BRICS if the Chinese don't care for you and enter your country? This SCO meeting, they are meaningless. You're getting the Pakistanis to come here, and the Pakistanis are killing our people on a daily basis in Kashmir. They're sending all their trained people there. Why should we have this Bhutto's son come here? I mean, he's a novice. What's the point in bringing him here? There's nothing you can discuss. If you want to discuss anything in Pakistan, discuss with their army generals. They have some clout. But these guys, they're just butterflies. So I think, therefore, what you say about BRICS and all, it's a total sham. It's not worth it. And I can tell you that I practice what I preach. The Prime Minister asked me to become the chairman of the BRICS Bank. I told him I will not become the chairman of the BRICS Bank, even though it is a monstrously high salary. I said I will not. Of course, the excuse I gave him is that I made a decision after I left Harvard not to go abroad and settle down or stay long in any other country. So therefore, I declined it. But I knew it was going to be a bogus thing. It will not work. Today, where is the BRICS? Oh, what our transactions is doing? Nothing. There's no BRICS. The Chinese have gone and created a new banking system with Pakistan is in the core.
Arvind, you can go for the next
Yeah,
question.
Dr. Swamy, when you described the India's policies objective, one
Yes.
of the objectives you said was leveraging international partnership for economic benefit. Now, do you think India's foreign policy in last 70 years has in any way contributed to India's international trade? Especially, my question is about export.
Well, take with China. We are exporting raw materials and bringing in the Chinese industrial production. And our raw materials that the Chinese want are the best in the world. They can sell in the international market and use it. Kudremukh iron ore, my God. And, the whole world wants to buy it, but we are selling it all to the Chinese. So you just see the list of commodities we are importing from China. I mean, I don't think that, you see, problem is nobody does any reading here, and the newspapers don't publish it in full. So there's no possibility of debate. If I speak out, they always say Swami is all the time criticizing because he thinks they're a great economist or some silly thing like that they will say. So I will say the point you have taken is well taken. There is no place. The only good thing we have done in a small way is the relatively huge amount of economic support we gave to Sri Lanka, and for which they are very grateful. And I think in the long run, it will be a factor in their being with us and not with anybody else. So, but the Nepalis think that we are exploiting them. The Bhutanese have now told you that we now don't need you anymore for dealing with China. We'll take care. And the Chinese have come near Bagdogra. Tomorrow they cross Bagdogra and go into Darjeeling. That's the end. Assam is cut off. So I don't think that there is been any deal which is, we can call it worthy. Modi should openly admit that have been a failure and get new advisors. There are a lot of good advisors in the ministry and in the IAS, IFS, and so on. They can put up together a team and get good options and act according to it. But he thinks he knows everything and he speaks on everything, and then he gets into trouble on these things because he hasn't understood the concept.
Dr. Swamy, one more question I want to ask, which is very current. India has become G20 president, the leadership of G20. Do you think, the way we are projecting is that we have already become Vishwaguru by heading G20, which is by rotation. India
Yes.
would get it anyway, otherwise it's not because of particular government or particular person. So do you think that India's leadership of G20 will lead or accelerate the way to become the Vishwaguru?
How can it? Why are we not in G7?
Yes.
That is the power house. You see, that's where we should have been. We should have, this celebration, because they think we are all idiots. You see, G20, we are members of G20. What before us it was Indonesia. You see, so G20 has lots of countries which are not by any way in comparison. India is, by the way, GDP properly calculated with the right kind of index numbers is third largest in the world. The Chinese are now supposed to be the first largest, and then the Americans, then us. Of course, our population is huge, so the per capita income is very small. So, but still, this is the vast amount of resources you have, but we don't know how to use it. We don't know how to promote economic growth in our own country, because there's no economic policy today. It's all in tatters. The economy, they will go on saying, the World Bank says that next year we will be 6%. When next year comes, they'll say again next year will be 6%. They won't tell you what really happened. We are running at 4% today, you see. So I think the main problem is we are not focused. We don't care. We don't go in a systematic way. If you have a policy, you have objectives, then you pick up your priorities, and then you put your strategy, and then you mobilize your resources. That package will give you results. But they haven't done it.
Dr. Swamy, my next question is based on a lot of comments we have received from our viewers on various platforms. They want to know from you, what would be best for India, going with China or going with America? What is in our national interest? Viewers want to know.
First of all, going with China is out of the questions. The Chinese will treat you the way they're treating the Russians, junior partner. Okay, and they know easily. In all the meetings they've had, they've been shouting at Jaishankar and Doval, and these guys have been lumping it. There's no equality with Russia, with China at the moment, unless you smack them somewhere, make them lose, run from the battlefield. Then only they will become reasonable people. I know their psychology very well, having studied them for so long. So at the moment, that's out. As far as the Americans are concerned, we don't need their troops. We need their weapons. So we have to give them a word that we will side with you in fighting China. And we'll say that if China invades Taiwan, we'll stand by the United States. If they invade Vietnam, we'll stand with the United States. And we will join with Indonesia and block the Malacca Strait for Chinese ships coming through there. And I think we should also try to disentangle the Iranians, because the Iranians are very smart people. They may be fanatics, but they even their top leaders. They are very articulate, very well. I've been to Iran, and I know how articulate they are, smart. I had Iranian students, of course, they were rebels, but I had Iranian students when I taught at Harvard. So Iran is next to us. They are Shias. Shias in India are very pro BJP. I can tell you, they were pro Jansang. What to talk about BJP? I have held in Lucknow in those days in 1974. I have addressed meetings with the Shias, and the Sunnis are all the time killing them, and in riots. So Iran is a country which you should try to now disengage from China, and but as far as China is concerned, till they vacate the land, every inch of it, including Aksai Chin, don't have anything to do with them. If the Americans want to fight the Chinese, we tell the Americans, we don't want your troops, but we want your weapons. So get us F-35, give us all your electronics, and so on. And they have plenty of it. They will be very happy to give it. If we say all this area in Southeast Asia, we shall monitor and see that the Chinese don't get anywhere.
Yeah, but Dr. Swamy, I have a very small question. Our program is for last 9 years policy of the government of India, but
Yes.
in majority of the cases, our foreign policy is continuing from 1964, Nehru era. But for everything we blame Nehru, but why we continue with foreign policy of Nehru?
Yeah, because this non-alignment is in different ways. Oh, we are Vishwa Guru, we are acceptable to everybody, and so on. We have to take sides. Either you're with China or you're with the United States. I'm not saying that suck up to the Americans, which many of us are ready. I am telling you, you will see that Jaishankar and Doval will be the first one to run to Washington and crawl before the Americans. So I'm not saying that you should crawl before, but the Americans have now reached a stage where they feel that the Chinese have benefited from all the economic cooperation that they had with the United States, and now they are going to turn against the United States. They are already doing a lot of spying activities in the United States. So the United States doesn't have manpower, because they were all retired also, because they have been losing all these wars when Vietnam, Afghanistan, etc., etc. So India is a country which can deal with China, and we have in two small battles with China shown what China really is for us, which is nothing. And that was one was in the Sikkim border, and the Sikkim Nathula Pass, where the Chinese tried to cross in with their armory, and our troops went with tanks. They really took their life into hands, because tanks on those heights very dangerous. Wiped out the Chinese, and the Chinese walked out. But our government at that time decided that we'll not publicize it, because it might hurt the Chinese to do something more. Same thing with Sumdung Rungchu in Arunachal. We gave them a thrashing in 1987, and the Chinese had to run away. So our troops are ready. In Galwan also, with bare hands, they defeated them. And then we gave away Galwan to the Chinese, part of the peace agreement. So I think when you say who to choose, I will say today the Americans have the weapons we need, and the Americans want us to put our manpower to fight China. We can easily cooperate with them.
Before Arvind winds up the show, I have an announcement to make. Next Sunday, that is the 30th of April, we won't be having Gyan Ganga Words of Wisdom due to logistic reasons, as many of us are not available on that day because of the travel plan. So this is to just inform our viewers and listeners that Sunday, the 30th of April, our show will not be there, but the following Sunday in the month of May, we will be available as usual on Gyan Ganga Words of Wisdom. Over to Arvind.
Thank you, Jagdish, for making this known to our viewers. our viewers have been supporting us, and since you have been involved in traveling, Dr. Swamy has been traveling. So there are occasions when we have to postpone our program. So 7th of May will be our next program. Dr. Swamy, today, thank you very much for your insight on the foreign policy of Government of India in last 9 years. And you are the right person, in fact, to provide a policy to the Government of India. Unfortunately, the Government of India has not paid heed to your suggestions for different reasons, different political reasons, I would say. And otherwise, the credit will go to you. You are an expert on China. You provided the correct position. But our China policy is also not straightforward. But anyway, we have had a discussion. Jagdish, thank you very much for this program. Our technical team should be thanked for continually supporting us in technically improving this program. In 194th episode, I must thank team led by Ashish Shetty, Swaminathan, Tejas Navalgul, Gadgi Rakesh, Ishwar Iyer, Vishal Mehta, and Ajesh Nair. 7th of May, we will be meeting with Dr. Swamy and a new topic. Till then, viewers, Namaskar, Jai Hind.
जय हिंद, धन्यवाद.